Lord, Nash News posted the video of me. It looks like a lot like Jay Leno. It's really bad.
Really?
Really like Jay's terrible angle. But well, there's that.
National News did?
The Nash News.
Oh, really? What were they reporting on? Is this okay to talk about on the podcast?
Yeah. It's Holly Allen from the Bachelorette. What was her Big Brother? What was she on? Anyway, but she's the spokesperson for Nash News. And anyway, I mean, I don't know what we.
What were they reporting on with you about?
The
new song?
New music. It's so what they're doing is it's a milkshake date. And they'll interview artists like Tyler Brayton or whatever, and they have a milkshake date at a legendary milkshake bar in Nashville. And it's less about the music and more about like a date conversation.
Yeah.
Like more intimate, personal questions.
Are you still dating?
I am.
You have a boyfriend?
I do.
Do you like
He's hanging on by the skin of his teeth.
He is?
Well, it takes a lot to make the cut, you know what I mean? And just because you're good looking doesn't mean you can get away with murder. So he is delicious. That's what my friends call him delicious.
Does he know he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth? He does? So when you know that you...
He skipped open weekend turkey season to go to my best friend's wedding with him. That's sweet.
He did?
But that was planned months and months.
That should have gained him some points, though.
It did, but I mean, I don't believe in rewarding expected behavior. You know what I mean? I think you reward the above and beyond, but you have to affirm good behavior too. You have to affirm that.
But you can't miss opening day turkey season.
No, but he shot more turkeys probably than you, so why does he need to go? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like
he's going to have I'm going on the road this weekend. He's got all this weekend to do it, and next weekend if he wants to.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of tradition and down here it's like religion almost. Are you allowed to say that about things in the South? Like,
yeah.
Can you compare things to religion?
Football is a religion in a way. Yes.
Yeah, like the SEC is almost like religion, right?
Yes,
down here it's almost like sacred, right?
Yes. So I understand opening day of deer season's a big deal. Opening day is a big deal.
When you read those words right there, this life ain't for everybody. Do you know the story behind how I named that?
No.
So when I first came to Nashville, it was in 2008. The first bar I ever went to was Losers in Midtown.
My God.
And that was the sign behind the where the band sits in. That now it's across the bar on the other side, but all their shirts still say that on the back.
Love it.
And that was the sign that was written in these big letters. And I said, man, I love that. So I started thinking, I wonder what that means.
Spent a lot of time at Losers.
So what do you think that means, Hannah? With you moving here from your home state to Georgia, you move here to become who you are now, but it's a long road, right? What do those words mean? Like if I'm applying it to Nashville,
this life ain't for everybody. It just means it's not for the faint of heart. No pussies allowed. Can I say that? Excuse me, tater bug. But I mean, you know what I mean. It's everybody's story is different. Some people are fortunate enough to have daddy's money or a backer or someone to help fund their career, and there's others of us that have to live on ramen noodles like Jake Owen or me and sleep on a mattress on the floor or go homeless, or you know what I mean. My girlfriend Sarah married Jameson Rogers, Sarah Turner. I handed her my house cleaning business. I scrubbed toilets while I was writing songs professionally, which I still am, and opening shows for the Cadillac 3. But just because I couldn't afford to pay my band, and I sold all my guitars, in order to pay my band, and scrub toilets at night while I wrote songs by day. This life's not for everybody.
So why do you still do it?
What do I do? The music business?
Yeah, my point is. How do you know when you've made it? How long does it is? I know that the time frame is different for everybody, but do you ever get tired of the chase?
It's been a prayer of mine for a long time that I wouldn't grow jaded, and thank you, Jesus. I've been here for 11, 12 years. I've not yet. Making it to me is doing this full time for a living. So I can put food on the table. I can pay my bills. Can I buy that 77 Trans Am or that 77 Corvette Stingray yet? No. But I employ several people, and their livelihood matters more to me than my little wants and desires. So I'm on my way there.
Do you, being a Christian like you are and spiritual like you are,
thank you, Jesus.
You thank Jesus and you show gratitude every day towards the man upstairs. But what does it really take to make it here? Like, because I see people that come in here and for lack of better terms, they cut in line. Like they didn't pay their dues. Like the days of these talent shows and the social media and the record deals off of TikTok, it's not the same as like when Tracy Lawrence, per se, who we both know and we're both very fond of,
love him,
came up, right? Even like Travis Tritt or
Jason Aldean, 10-year grind, 10-year
exactly. grind. Like they call this a 10-year town, but now it seems like things are happening like that for a lot of these artists. Does it piss you off? Does it upset you? Do you ever have to do you get dark and jealous when you see others making it, or does your spirituality and your connection with the Lord keep you sane? Because to me, it's hard. It would be hard for a human being to watch because everything is so readily available to people now. I can see what you're doing on a daily basis. I'm not saying that you're showing everything, but you might go on there and be like, oh, he got another record deal. He just signed another endorsement deal. Luke Combs just got a big bar downtown off of Broadway, taking over the Wild Horse. Like, there's a lot of success that's readily available to see all the time. Does it drive you nuts and irritate you and make you jealous?
Well, the old Hannah, yes. And I say that as in Hannah pre-quarantine. But I think, because of my faith and because, I lost my record deal during quarantine, and it was right after they pulled the plug, right after I released my debut music, and then pulled it. And because I didn't have a team around me, and that was a breaking point for me. But what I realized is that tunnel vision, or, the best thing you can do is to put on blinders, because your path is your path, and God knows your address, and He's not going to deliver my mail to your house, and He's not going to deliver your mail, et cetera, to mine. And I just think that I just know that my route, I've always been told my route's not going to look the same as everybody else's. So I can bitch about why I'm not on XM radio right now, or I can go email those guys myself, or I can go pursue this TV deal. And if I can't get in your ears, I'm going to get in your faces, which is a lot of what I've been doing this past year and last year, was getting on TV. So I'm just taking opportunity where I can, where it makes sense, because I understand finally, and I can sleep well at night because I know that my path is going to look different than everybody else. I'm not a one-trick pony. There's a lot here to offer, and whatever presents it to the world first is what it takes.
Have you found yourself becoming?
I rambled too much.
No, you're great. Do you find yourself becoming more of? And I've had to fight this in my career, where you got your blinders on and you stay so focused on the task at hand and your vision, short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. And then all of a sudden you get presented with the fact that somebody else had a little bit more success than you. And the first question is why? And then you become envious a little bit. At this point in my career, I cheer everybody on, because of understanding that what you said about the mailboxes and that God's not going to deliver your mail to me and vice versa. I find it very easy and comforting to say, hey, I'm doing my thing. I know that I'm not going to be the best at everything that I do in the world. There's going to be somebody better all the time.
Right.
But I've created a path of my own, and I've also cherished the fact, or really like the fact, that I don't look at competition and go, they don't deserve that. I deserve that. That should be mine. And I know that we've all gone through that part of maturity. But now I find myself being like, there's enough to go around, as long as it's ethical and it's done right. Right.
There is, to an extent, there is enough to go around, and. As a woman, it's so competitive because there's always been and I'm not fussing about it. I accept the challenge because I consider myself one of the boys, and that's what's always made me stand out among the women. But there's a smaller piece of the pie for us to have, and I didn't just have that realization of, what I said earlier about God only delivering your mail to your house. I didn't have that overnight. It literally, it took my heart getting broken. It took me being robbed of my creativity. It took my friends passing me, friends that cut my songs, which is great, but friends that told my jokes on stage and verbatim. You know what I mean? And did a lot of the things that I do, or made some of the same content, covered some of the same songs in their sets, whatever. You can get caught up in a lot. but you have to just realize who your real friends are, and you got to play your cards correctly, and you can't show them to everybody. And trust, you have to kind of be really protective of what it is that you do, but there's a way to do that in love. And I've just, it's like God's taking this big old colander and he's just sifting out the things that I don't need and the people that I don't need and hanging on to the ones that I do. And as a result, my relationships have improved, my music has improved, my opportunities are coming in, and I just think it's a matter of doing what you do, not getting distracted by everything else.
You pay homage to a lot of the greats, and a lot of your inspiration comes from what I would consider true country.
By God.
And I feel that this has been forgotten about in this city in a lot of cases, but a lot of times people say, who are you, Chad Belding, to get on a soapbox or a high horse?
Oh, I love it when you do.
And tell us what country music is. So when I walk through we're honored to be in the Nashville Palace right now. This is Dean Dillon behind us.
Randy Travis.
Randy Travis are here. Alan Jackson sang in here. Like you've sang on I've watched you on the stage several times. Does it irritate you when you see what I don't call traditional country being put on country music radio, and these guys or girls that are getting these bigger deals, these bigger record deals, these bigger tours? A lot of it's not country to me. Being on the inside like you are, does it irritate you to the point where you go like...
I'm irritated because I feel like I speak for my fans, and I speak for country fans. I'm irritated when it feels like it's being shoved down your throat. I know what it's like when I stand in my merch and my meet and greet lines and I meet fans at the end of my shows, and they're always like, well, why aren't you on the why didn't you open for John Party last tour? We just don't get it, like referring to the opening act, or we don't like nobody connected, da 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 da. I just think that the nostalgia, the Hank Jr., the Alan Jackson, the pedal steel guitar, whatever it is that's homey and nostalgic that I love about 90s country and what I've held on to, merged with the fresh Hannah. I think there's something there for everybody, and it'll bring back old country fans, and it will also make new country fans who didn't know what they were missing.
But there's a where I'm going.
I'll have to re-answer that question. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. But where I'm going is like, you have songs that are traditional country #1 hits, like Breaking Up in the 90s, your song about the cassette tape, and the mixtape.
Yeah.
Like I
signed a record deal. They signed me for that song, and they never released it.
And that should be a #1 hit. Not to say that I know what becomes a #1 hit.
Because they were pushing Walker Hayes' Ladies of the 90s song at the time, which I love. Walker, he's a really, really sweet guy.
He's a great guy.
But the songs, you can't compare the two songs.
No.
I mean, obviously there's one that's a lot better.
There's other songs that have been written about breakups that don't touch that song either.
Right. And then later, Sam Hunt put out one that was very similar, and my song was written 8 years ago. Correct. So, and my song was the first on Music Row. My God, publishers blew my phone up when I turned that song in 8 years ago.
But does it piss you off that it's going to be forgotten? I know that's going to be sung on stage, but that should have already been a #1.
Honey, absolutely, yes. It pisses me off that that I. My team didn't, plow ahead and start. But I begged and pleaded with them. I'm like, hey, take me to radio. Please quit shelving me. Let's go ahead and do this. Like, there is more than one way to skin a cat. But that label had another game in mind, if you will, and and they decided just to keep me on a shelf and let me do my own thing and see if I could do anything on my own, which is really unfair, because if you got a Cadillac parked in the woods, nobody's going to know it's there unless you've got to have somebody to come and cut down the trees. Anyhow, so that's why when COVID and quarantine happened, I launched my TikTok, which I began TikTok about 2 years before that, but I started building my page then, and I just wanted to say, hey, look what you got here. I'm here. And they actually offered me a second deal as a result, that involved Hollywood, Sony Pictures. Anyway, but that went out of the door when, my biggest champion left the label shortly after that. So I just think that, I'm a survivor, and I think you've got to be, because this life ain't for everybody.
How do you get another record deal in Nashville if you lose one?
If you want one.
If you have one and you lose it, is it possible to get another one? Or do you want to stay independent and you're tired of that game?
It is possible to get another one, and I've been in conversation. But I really admire the way Cody Johnson has done things. Childers, Sturgill, guys like that, even Aaron Watson, they've built an independent bank, if you will, and as a result,
Myers, Cody
Whiskey,
James.
love them. Again, I'm not referring to their songwriting quality. I'm just talking about the way that they've built an independent career.
True.
And as a result, Cody signed the biggest record deal in country music history, because he had bargaining power. And so that's kind of where we are right now. Is I'm trying to break into Texas, doing well there, and I think sometimes you have to go outside of Nashville to get back into Nashville. For the biggest example I could think of is Chris Stapleton. You know, Risky Riff has put out several articles about how Nashville's sleeping on Hannah Dasher like they slept on Chris Stapleton, and I have to agree with them. In that, like if you were managing a Chris Young and there's a guy like Stapleton next door, you're going to do everything you can to guard the public from him, to make sure the spotlight remains on Chris and make sure Stapleton stays out of the spotlight. Does that make sense?
100%.
And so it took somebody.
Because they know that if he gets discovered, it's over.
Then it's over, right? So it took somebody from outside of Nashville, Justin Timberlake, to draw attention to Stapleton, and that's all that he had to do. You know, Stapleton had the bite to match the bark, and I believe I'm in that same boat.
You're saying all those nights of him leading the steel drivers. I watched him several times here.
Oh, it was great.
And
he was in town for like 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
So you're saying that whole time that there was actually people that would keep him buried because they were nervous that
absolutely.
Their really?
Yes, absolutely.
How that is so negative. That is so.
Honey,
that's business. I get it. That's so cutthroat.
Do you know how often that's been done to me?
No.
I'm not complaining about it, but I think what goes around comes around, and I think God wants certain people to have their time right now, because my time's coming. So I don't want to steal any thunder from them, and they sure as hell ain't gonna steal it from me when I'm out of the gate. So I'm just loading up my AR-15 right now. We're just loading it all up.
You got plenty of bullets coming.
Yeah.
So when you just put out this song about taking, going to the, taking
Crying away the bank. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a great song.
Thank you.
Did you have a co-write on this?
I do. I wrote it with Benji Davis and Dave Turnbull. Just two of my buddies. I love them to pieces, and it was just too obvious not to write it, and I really appreciate them chasing my vision on that. And the music video is a lot of fun. CMT just picked that up, and they're playing it, and I'm tickled for the new music that's coming along with it.
So tell us about that. You have a new album coming.
I do. I guess 7 songs makes an album now, so I was calling it. So we released the Half record a year and a half ago,
which was great.
Thank you. And this is the follow-up to that. It's called The Other Damn Half. It's 7 songs, and we're going to put 3 out. So the first was Crying Away at the Bank. The next one that's coming up May 11th, May 12th. It's a song called Ugly Houses, and we wanted to show my faith off, just show a deeper side of me, because there's so many. Let me erase that. The next song coming out is May 11th or May 12th. It's called Ugly Houses, and it's a deeper song. It showcases my faith, and which is a huge part of my journey. And I'm such a Saturday night, Sunday morning kind of girl. I believe the best way to reach people through music or politics or through faith is to be approachable and relatable. And so you got songs like that on there. We've got I'm the One That Taught Him That Thing You Like coming as well in June. I know.
Wow,
it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be good. And of course, Redneck Ass is gonna be on the package. Don't
I'm
worry
the one
about
that taught
that.
Him that thing you like.
It's called That Thing You Like. But I'm the one that taught him that thing you like.
I've heard you sing that here. Maybe I've heard it live somewhere.
I sang it once when I was with Ashlyn and Ben and those guys last week. For
God, I swear I've seen you sing that song
for the Outdoor Network.
You did that, the Country Outdoors deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I swear I've heard it live somewhere.
I've only done it.
You didn't do it at the radio deal?
Performed
What's the radio thing in Nashville called? Where the CRS, is it called CRS?
Correct. No, I
you didn't do that around?
Nope, I didn't bank for there. No.
I swear I've heard that song. So when you start talking about,
well, I mean,
I think
some big artists have had it on hold, but I mean, maybe that's where you've heard. I don't think you've heard
it.
Mm-hmm.
God,
with Wind Varble.
I know that I've heard that song. Let me ask you a question about a male artist that's kind of in the same boat as you.
What's that?
But I don't think he gives a SH, earmuffs. He doesn't care. He just opened for Luke at Nissan Stadium this week. I'm talking about Brent Cobb.
Oh, I love Brent.
Is he genius?
Oh, Brent is our generation's Roger Miller. So prolific, so gifted, so humble, so kind. He's been a mentor of mine early on. He and I were considered the black sheep from Georgia. As much as I love Luke Bryan as a person, and he's a great songwriter, and Cole, also a buddy. But the whole Georgia crowd never embraced me when I moved to town. Like, I didn't get invited to Dallas to go hunting and fishing, even though his brother and brother-in-law lived with me, and hell, I saved their life a few times. Let's be honest. But Georgia never really embraced me. And maybe I wasn't pretty enough.
You're talking about the musicians in Nashville,
the songwriters and the artists.
From
correct. But Brent Cobb was quick to reach out and quick to include me, and really get what I do. So I can't say enough nice things about him.
So if you have your spiritual crystal ball, going back to the mailbox comment.
Okay.
Could you sit here and tell me that he will have his time also, or has he had it already, and his time was something different than being a breakout artist? Because when you hear the way he writes songs like Shine on Rainy Day or Digging Holes or Luke Bryan's hit Tailgate Blues, Brent Cobb wrote Tailgate Blues. And
Brent's going to have, to answer your question, I don't have a crystal ball here, but I will say Brent is going to have as big of a career as he wants to have. And I think he's content where he is. He's moved back to Lake Blackshear. He and Lane, he's not going to chase the social media rabbit, which I believe is a large part of what it takes to maintain a presence. Eric Church and guys like that don't have to do. They've already made it. But guys like Brent, like, if I were him, I would have built up as much momentum around that Chris Stapleton tour and continued to build momentum online. But he's touring, he's playing great rooms. My buddy Ben Chapman, I believe, just opened up for him on a few runs. I think he's going to have as big of a career as he wants to have. And I think he's playing daddy and husband, and he's got a lot going on.
So at this point in your career, you made a comment about females not having the same chance to that pie. Why is that in Nashville?
Well, because they put out whiny songs. I mean, I don't want to listen to what's on my workout mix. I've got, workouts, or what's on my party mix. I've got Bo Cephas, Cadillac 3, some John Party.
Are you tired of the man-hating songs? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I mean, I'm not tired of man-hating songs. I think a great song is a great song, whether you're male or female. I tend to, and I've always related more to male artists, to male songwriting. As a little girl, my girlfriends were all about some Faith Hill, and I thought Reba was amazing, but I was Alan Jackson, George Strait. That was more my thing. I've just always been more drawn towards man music. It just speaks to me more. It's sexier to me.
What about live performances? Do female live performances do it for you like male live performances on stage do it for you? Can Dolly do what Kenny Chesney does? Can Reba do what Bo Cephas does? Can the girls do it on stage? Can girls
Reba is a hell of an entertainer, but Bo Cephas is an even better entertainer. No.
Men do it better on stage too?
Yes. Hank plays the piano with his butt. He plays the fiddle down here on his forearm, and I mean, Reba is amazing. Reba is, it's just it. They're two animals that you can't really compare. And back in the day, my gosh, they used to, in the 90s, I heard they would hang her to a cable and she would fly out over the audience. She and Garth both did those things. So when the money's there, I think you can do anything you want to. And by God, I can't wait till I've got enough to really do what I want to do. Right now, we've got the 25-foot flag drop, but other than that, I don't have pyrotechnics and a big light show yet. But one day I will.
Hank doesn't have that.
He doesn't need it.
The song.
By God, he doesn't need it. No, he doesn't need
it. Some of our mutual friends who I'm not going to say before the comment asked me who the Mount Rushmore of country music was, and I named them, and then they went, "Well, what about this. And I went, oh my God, you're right. I can't believe it. Is it true, in your opinion, that there's a Mount Rushmore of country music artists, and then Bo Cephas is like a cloud above it that nobody will ever touch? Is he the greatest of all time by far?
I believe Hank beat the odds. Yes, Hank grew up with a lot of money, and that gave him an edge. But that's not what I focus on. He had such a huge shadow to outshine, and not only did he do that, he plowed his own road, and intertwined rock and roll and honky tonk music, and did it so stylistically, so uniquely, and wrote the shit out of music, and he played the stew out of every instrument, and he dominated, and he'll always be Hank Jr. Like the Hank Jr.
Is he the best of all time?
In my opinion, he is one of the best of all time.
So iconic wise, you always name Alan Jackson in your top 3.
Ooh, Lord Jesus, one of the best.
What did AJ have in the 80s and 90s? The songwriting was there.
Yes.
He had the long blonde hair. He had the cowboy hat. He had the Wranglers and the boots. He had the twill jackets and the leather jackets.
He had the voice. I mean, you can hear nuances of George Jones and Alan Jackson. He just had an undeniable, unmistakable voice, which is what I think we're missing a lot of today. When you, like, in the 90s as a kid growing up, you turn the radio on, you could recognize, oh, that's Winona, or oh, that's Sammy Kershaw.
Now you can't tell them
Sawyer
apart.
Brown. No, now everybody kind of sounds alike. And specifically, a lot of the women sound alike. With the exception of like Ashley McBryde, I think I could listen to her sing.
She's amazing.
She could sing the alphabet. And Ashlyn Craft's got this good scratchy thing going on. I mean, just could sing. I could listen to her sing all day long. Like it's not that I don't like females or female voices, but I judge them a little harder because I am one. And if you can't beat me, or if you're not better than me, I'm not, or as or where I am, I'm not going to be impressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
Sure.
Because I hold myself to pretty, I'm tough on myself.
I'm going to name a couple songs, and I want you to tell me if you wish you would have wrote them, because I see you in these songs when I hear them.
I love it.
And I was talking to Anna, who's not here right now, Tater's mom. They've introduced me to this town called Dahlonega in Georgia.
Yes.
The Dive Bar Dahlonega song that Ashley put out.
Yeah.
That's got you all over it. Is this something that you could have written, or do you get pissed that you didn't come up with that idea? Not that you couldn't, but do you ever go damn it, why didn't I think of that? Because that song's genius to me.
Not with that song, and I owe it another listen. When I think of songs that I wish I would have written, I think of more timeless things like "I'm Over You," Keith Whitley, or hell, Chattahoochee.
Name a Vince Gill song that you wish you would have written.
Oh my gosh.
He's one of the best.
When I Call Your Name.
When I Call Your Name. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Name a Tim McGraw song that he sang and might not have written, but one that you wish you would have written.
Don't Take the Girl.
I was going to say the same one. He was on a run for a long time.
Oh yeah.
He was a hit maker.
He still got it.
He's amazing,
Very
right?
Good.
So where I'm going with this, Hannah Dasher, is when you come up with these ideas for these songs, because you are an edgy artist, your jokes on stage, your camaraderie, your wittiness, your cleverness, the way that you interact with the audience, you have a lot of that don't give a damn, filter that it's pretty much on E. You don't care anymore. Like so when I watch you perform, I'm like, oh, that was good. That was good. So when Vince Gill did this in Reno, Nevada one time, I told all my buddies, I'm going to go see Vince Gill tonight. And they're like, what? That dude ain't country. And I'm like, yes, he is.
He is.
But you heard the same thing about Gary LaVox. And Gary LaVox could sing the phone book. I love everything that Gary does. But when they were coming up, they got discovered for one thing or another that wasn't deemed country by everybody. You're country. And you live in Music City, USA. Going back to the beginning of our conversation, would you compromise for the almighty dollar to get more poppy, to get this pedal steel out of your set, and to run it through a vocal meter or whatever they call the filtering that they're doing in a lot?
Absolutely not.
You would never compromise.
No.
Compromise is not a choice at all.
I believe in playing the game, and you got to I've always said you got to wrap the pill in a little cheese to get the dog to swallow the medicine every now and then. However, not to the point of changing yourself. And I fought hard and waited for a pedal steel guitar. That's something that Jaron Johnson, lead singer of Cadillac 3, dear friend, I love him. He discovered me, produced my first music, but that's something that he and I disagreed on. He kind of wanted me to be Cadillac 4. which I'm a huge Cadillac 3 fan. Rock and roll is, I love rock and roll almost as much as I love country music. It's a big part of my live show. But I wanted the sound that I've got now with this music that's out, and I wanted a pedal steel guitar, and so I bought for that, and the label thought it was too country, and I'm like, well, hell, it's country music. Aren't we in the commercial country music business? I believe, and I've always believed, that there's a way to package that. And as I've discovered on TikTok, all the comments were saying, oh my gosh, this is the country music I've missed, or oh my gosh, I don't listen to country music, but I love this. So we found something that is for more than just your average country fan. When
you see the rebirth, I would call it, of the Tracy Lawrence's getting invited out on stage with Aldine, or let's say Jody Messina getting a rebirth because of Cole's song about
I think it's great.
So is the timing of Hannah Dasher falling in perfectly with this rebirth of the generation, like Leith Lofton and Drake White, two of our mutual friends, wrote a song called Born 50 Years Too Late. It was actually called 50 Years Too Late. You should have been singing in the 90s, in the late 80s and early 90s.
I would never have wanted to compete with that.
Why? Because
Never.
of Winona and Tanya Tucker and the Judds?
Just because of the caliber of song. I mean,
but you don't think your caliber of song is bigger than today?
Absolutely, I do. Which is why I believe that I'm going to work and excel, because there's the quality, the timelessness is there. But those are some big shoes to fill. I feel like the artists that we grew up listening to set the standard as singers, as songwriters. Am I going to write a Here in the Real World tomorrow? Hell, I'd love to, but I'm okay with the fact that Alan Jackson and Mark Irwin did that, and nobody's ever going to do that again. I think there's more words and more notes, and there's other things that I can write that are for me, that other people need to hear.
Did you just make a comment that's saying that today's country music lyrically does not touch what happened in the 80s and 90s?
I can't say that teetotally, but I think everybody that listens to this podcast would agree the quality of music, the quality of song isn't quite what it used to be. You can agree with that.
I would agree with it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd ever come out and say it publicly if I was trying to get a record deal.
I'm not necessarily trying to get a record deal.
Are you saying that as far as compromise goes?
I'm not saying there's not great stuff out there. There's great stuff out there.
Is there though?
I'm a huge Eric Church fan. He's one of the reasons I'm a songwriter.
Could he go down as the GOAT?
Oh yeah. He's in my top 3. EC is in my top 3, absolutely. But he is an amazing songwriter. But so
is he Georgia too, or is he Carolina?
He's North Carolina. But so are the guys that he writes with: Casey Beathard, Jeff Hyde, Michael Heaney, Ryan Tyndall. All those guys are so talented, and I get the privilege of writing with these guys too. And I think that I don't know. I just think you got to set your standard. I have high standards. Maybe everybody else isn't, but what I've learned over the years is to simplify. I think people have a lot going on. We're a busier people nowadays. We've got kids in the back seat. Thank God I don't. Or we've just got a million things on our mind, and so you need something that's going to catch their attention, that they can be able to sing back to you with a buzz. The next chorus, and I believe we've nailed that with the music that I'm putting out. I mean, Redneck Ass, for Pete's sake, is I've never released a song, and they know all the words to it.
The fans do.
Yeah.
So if you have a room full of taters and you're giving a Hannah Dasher seminar, is the high standards the number one thing? And what I mean by tater is somebody that wants to potentially be in your shoes someday as a singer-songwriter. Do you tell them to don't even think about moving to Nashville? This town will chew you up and spit you out as fast as it took you to get here. Or do you tell them keep your standards high and keep grinding, and your time will come? What do you tell a room full of 9-year-olds that want to be the 9-year-olds that want to be the next Hannah Dasher?
That's a great question. That's sweet. But I tell them to, well, yes, keep your standards high, but surround yourself with people who are honest with you, who aren't going to blow smoke up your behind. Because I grew up around brutally honest people to a fault. But I think, if I was good at basketball, I'd be in the NBA. But I'm not good at basketball. But you've got to be able to recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, recognize what you're good at, recognize what you're not good at, and find a path, go excel in what your God-given gift is. Excel there and let everybody else do their job. And you may be a phenomenal singer, but you may not be a great songwriter. But guess what? Just because you're an artist does not mean that you have to write your own music, because there are hundreds of qualified, amazing songwriters here in town that need to make a living off of you as an artist.
So do you think there is a good future for the female side of the world?
If I've got anything to do with it, by God, yes.
So you're fighting for the voice, because you made a comment that a lot of the female voices in this city sound the same now. I agree. I couldn't agree more, because when it comes on the radio, I'm like, now Miranda, I could pick a Miranda song. Miranda to me is
very talented.
She's going to wear a Miranda, what is it called, Acting Up shirt tonight. I love that new album. But Miranda's very talented, right? But she doesn't adhere to the norm either. No. She kind of does her own thing. She's a renegade. She's an outlaw a little bit.
Texas
the Marfa tapes that they put out last year or 2 years ago with
John Randall.
With John Randall.
Those were okay. That record didn't impress me.
But it wasn't.
I love Jack.
It wasn't meant to impress. It was more of a campfire session.
Sure.
But she still did it. She's supposed to impress, right? That's what she's supposed to do. I loved it because I'm like, Miranda really did that.
It was tasteful. It was a good stripped down record. I think people need to hear things like that. I mean, Zach Bryan is making a career off of stripped down guitar vocal kind of stuff. Culture Wall, the same.
Are you a fan of Zach Bryan?
I'm proud of the success that he's had. I'm a bigger Tyler Childers fan.
Are you a Tyler Childers fan after sobriety or pre-sobriety?
I don't keep up with his.
I've heard so many complaints of post-sobriety now that he doesn't have it anymore, and I'm wondering if that's why Keith Richards never got sober. Is there?
Well, Jason Isbell got sober and it hadn't hurt him.
Do you think it hasn't?
I think politics are hurting those boys. I think they need to be entertainers and songwriters and guitar players. And because Jason's from Alabama. He's from Florence. He's from. He built the Truckers, in my opinion, Drive-By Truckers. So
I love that band.
Yeah, but Jason is. They talk about a triple threat. What an amazing, well-spoken. He's Amanda is super sweet, super kind, beautiful girl. I've seen a lot of talent lately get too wrapped up in what they believe is hip, what they believe is the social cause to attach themselves to. And in most cases, they're not always that informed. And I think they're losing a lot of their bread and butter fans.
So do you think they should adhere to, going back to Brent Cobb's genius lyric of shut up and sing?
Yes, exactly.
Because you're not here to tell me who to vote for.
No, I'm not.
I paid to get a ticket to watch you sing.
Exactly. It's my job, when I sit and I grind and I write a song, it's my job to help you escape for 3 minutes, at least. That's my job, is to unite people. Like I was saying yesterday, I remember not too long ago, a few years ago, at the Dixie Chicks concert in Atlanta, when they were still called the Dixie Chicks, I literally I had my purple-haired gay friends in my left arm and my good old boy Georgia boot wearing rednecks in my right arm, and we all came together. Like the country nobody cared. It wasn't that divided. It wasn't a racial, it wasn't a discriminating undertone then at all. That nobody was told to be offended about anything. We just had a good time.
I couldn't agree.
And that's the country that I miss, and the one that I hope to carry forward in my music and my brand.
So as far as inspiration goes, in the way that your brain works, did something just click inside of your mentality to take a note on what you just said for a song? Because there's so much in there of the division of this country has caused it to where you just admitted that you had gay friends on your left and rednecks on your right, and y'all were friends and y'all enjoyed the same concert. But now today, the ones on your left, the gay people, are supposed to not like you because we're dividing them away from us. It's almost like people are playing the chess game with personalities, and then people get on that boat and they get on that box or that soapbox, and they want to say, hey, I'm supposed to do this, and that's what's causing the division. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be this way. You don't adhere to that. You love everybody for who they are, but do you get inspiration in songs from moments like you just talked about?
Well, absolutely, but I think Merle Haggard probably did it best with walking on the fighting side of me, and Randy.
Snowball.
That's right. Randy Houser just put out a song that is really good. I can't recall the name of it, but it's really, really great. But again, I'm an entertainer. I'm not a politician. I was a journalist major, so I'm very passionate about things like that. And if anybody wants to talk to me personally, I've had some conversations with people who are on different sides of the spectrum than me, and on the same, fans that have reached out. But the conversation always ends with an "I love you." I think there's a way to have open conversation without pushing people away. But again,
so you don't hate me for shooting deer?
Lord, no.
Because there's a lot of artists.
You eat what you kill,
but
man.
There's a lot of artists in your shoes that would never tell anybody that. Okay, so we just have made a comment that just shut up and sing. Okay, but are they really being them true selves if the whole world knows or doesn't know that they hunt, or doesn't know that they enjoy this part of it? Like,
why would they hide that about themselves?
So many artists do. So many artists hide the fact. I hunt with them, and you would never know it by what's on social media, or what's on their albums, or what's on their websites, or
because if I post a picture of me holding a rifle in a deer blind or whatever, deer stand,
you're going to lose half your audience?
I'm going to get canceled by Instagram. Like, I'm not allowed to have weapons. We can twerk, and we can sexualize children, and we can do those kind of things, but I cannot have a picture of a weapon on my Instagram page, or my page gets shut down. Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. I think there is going to come a time where we're going to have to stand for something. Good old Aaron Tippin, because hell, look at the world. Jesus is coming back next week, probably. But in the meantime,
I think next week.
I'm gonna play probably next month. But I'm gonna play the Opry a few more times, and I'm gonna get some more music out there and try to love on people and unite folks the best way that I can. Hell, I'm launching a brand tomorrow, Blazing and Praising, for 420. My new T-shirt design, and I might piss off some of the evangelicals, but I have a piece about it. I prayed about it. But yes, it's no secret that I like to partake. But when we look at Jesus, he was in the honky tonks, and he hung out.
The Bible is all about music.
He hung out with prostitutes, and I think he was just so relatable, and I think that's why so many people love George Jones. And George Jones he was really able to pull that off. His faith was a big part of who he was, and I think so many country boys that wrestled with the same things just really, really related to him, and he was just really a voice, and that's all I hope to be, is just a voice.
So you leave here today, and you go back and you start living the Hannah Dasher. You have your private life, but the Hannah Dasher out in public life, you're all about right now getting the music out to the people, getting the songs, this new album out, these new lyrics out to the people. In hopes of what? What does Hannah Dasher's 6-month goal right now? What are the hopes? What is the inspiration? What are you wanting to see fulfilled through this album? Are there expectations? Or with your simplicity way of life now, do you sit there and go, I'm putting it out no matter what, and whatever happens is intended by the Lord, and that's what I'm going to take, what I get?
I've launched this music on faith. I could wait around, and I was trying to round up the money to do it all. To launch this record is going to be $250,000, but waiting around wasn't going to do anything. And faith is faith, and so I've launched this music on faith, and the money's been coming in. It's like my needs are being met. My publicist is getting paid for. The bus this weekend. I have income coming in from what I do, but I just, my needs, the needs are being met, and it's coming from out of nowhere. And I think it's just a big testimony to trusting God, trusting the process, and being on the right path. So my goal in the next 6 months, to answer your question, is to have a bigger presence. Social media, obviously, but will be on the television.
You were just on Rachel Ray.
I was. But XM radio is also a goal of mine in the next 6 months as well, too. So
when you say XM radio, do you want to be on outlaw country, or do you want to be on the highway? If you had it,
both.
If you had it your way and you only got one.
Both. Oh, I've only got one. Let's face it, my music is more commercial. I don't want to be an outlaw, but the shoe freaking fits. I wrote that already, just did. But all that to say, whatever's going to reach the most people. You know, I mean, you could put me on the road with Blackberry Smoke, with Hank, with Party, with Luke Combs, with Hardy. You could put me out with those guys any day. You could also put me out with Brent Cobbs and Jamie Johnson's and, you know, some of those acts that they play on the Outlaw Station.
One of the top 3 best country
Oh my God, Jamie's one of my big songwriting influences. Oh my God, what a great record! Woo, what a great record!
That record is untouchable.
Yes, Lord, love him, love him, love him, love him.
So if I ask you to pick up that guitar, can you tell the world or tell our listening audience how accredited you are and accomplished on a guitar? Because I tried to explain.
Nah, shoot.
Are you what? How?
They won't know it to hear this thing.
How? Well, we're really not plugged in.
I am a Fender artist. I'm so tickled. You know, I think I told you earlier. For years, I wrote songs and played shows on borrowed guitars. Literally every week, I had to go borrow a guitar from somebody. But now I'm so tickled to walk into my home and I've got boo-koodles of guitars that have been gifted me by Fender and Gibson and some that I bought for myself, and I'm just tickled to again, I'm an entertainer. I don't call myself a player, but I do believe if you're going to hold the damn thing, you better do something with it. And by doing so, I have, you know, some younger like girl fans that are inspired because of it. You know, like Bonnie Raitt inspired me to play a guitar.
She's pretty amazing.
She is. And Jaron Johnston, he was like, here. He literally gave me my first Telecaster and was like, here.
Is that
play it.
Cadillac 3, Jaron?
Yes. And that was just a few years ago. He's like, I believe you got the chops, do it. That's all it took was somebody I looked up to be like, you can. Anyway.
What would you like to sing for our audience today? What do you want to hear? Tater? Tater, do you have any questions for Hannah? Here you go. Come over here. You got any questions?
No.
None? Not one. Are you sure? All right. It's your last chance.
What if I did a verse and a chorus of Bank, and then I'll give you a verse and a chorus of the new one we're putting out? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. This is Hannah. Do you like to be referred to as Hannah Dam Dasher?
Whiskey Jam Moore came up with that. I'm Hannah Dasher, but when I'm intoxicated, it is Hannah Dam Dasher. Tater, you want to sing the chorus with me on this one? Just put it out. I know you know.
You said you listened to it 5,000 times already. Here, you want to
I'll just do a verse and a chorus. Swore I'd stand by my man when he put a ring on my hand. Got a house and a boat and some land sitting on the edge of town. Yes, but a trust fund don't buy trust. I found him making out in his truck. How trashy. Should have seen the face of the judge when he threw that gavel down. Now I'm crying all the way to the bank. Woo! Brand new Chevy, premium gas in the tank. Hey, I was taking it hard, but taking it as far, took the broke out of heartbreak. Now I'm crying all the way to the bank. Get it there, girl. I love it.
Every word.
Woo! I think that's wonderful.
You're not going to know the lyrics to this one. This one hasn't been out yet.
Tater, you're 9 years old, and tell them who you're taking guitar lessons from right now.
Bart Walker. He is Hank Williams Jr.'s guitar player, and he plays for you.
He does. He plays for me too. Isn't that wonderful? Bart is a boss. He's great, and he thinks a lot of you. He's been real impressed with you. So there's always a, hey, Tater's doing this, or look what Tater's doing now. So I'm keeping up with you, baby girl. Thank you for keeping up with me. This is the one we're about to put out in May, and wrote to Mr. Robert Arthur.
What's this going to be called? I'm closing this door right here.
It's called Ugly Houses. Have you seen those billboard signs that say "We buy ugly houses"?
Yeah. That's where you got the inspiration?
Yeah, I thought I'd make a hell of a song title. So, and it morphed into just a profession of my faith. We're all junked up messes.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but I'll just do you a little verse and of course what's coming out. I love this song. I wasn't planning to release it, but it performed really well on my Instagram, and people keep asking me to play it. So we hadn't played it at the band show yet, but may just have to. I'm a fixer-upper, need a lot of repairs. Kinda run down and outdated, stuff strewn everywhere. If you looked in my windows, you probably wanna leave. Think who would wanna live in me? Well, I ain't no fancy castle. I got too much junk inside. But if you buy ugly houses, Lord, I'm taking down my for sale sign.
Wow. This is not about houses.
No.
Dang it, Hannah, that's so good.
Thank you.
You wrote that.
Yeah. I just, it's okay to put out some deeper music, and I'm hoping that it might touch some people or reach some.
That's really good.
Thank you.
Dang it.
Thank you. There's something for everybody on this half record coming out.
That needs to be the theme
half.
song of Hoarders on A&E.
I need to call Brian Patrick
All
now.
the junk inside.
Some HGTV, buddy. Joanna Chip, you hear that?
That is beautiful.
Oh, Lord.
So that's going to be called Ugly
It's
Houses.
called Ugly Houses.
Did you like that? Did you already have that one memorized? Just one verse, you got it down?
Well, as many little eyes as, that are on me, young eyes, if you're going to stand for something, why not stand for your faith and something that's wholesome and real? And especially, I feel like the country really needs a song like that right now.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
We only got to hear one verse and the hook, but we will hear the rest on
You
the
will.
upcoming album. It's going
I
to.
debuted it here first on This Life
Life
Ain't for
Ain't.
Everybody podcast.
I kind of feel good about that title because I trademarked it in 2009, the year after I saw it written on a wall in Nashville, Tennessee. Always knowing that it could be something, which means my life. I'm not talking about my life. Anybody can duck hunt. Anybody could move to Nashville if they want to. But there's all these different walks of life. Everybody's got a story. And I think that it's cool that I was able to see that at Losers that night. But in the realm of Losers, it means moving to Nashville, working the honky-tonk scene, working Lower Broadway, up late at night, up early in the morning, because you don't want to get FOMO, right? Oh, I got to go to Losers on a Thursday. I just partied last night on a Wednesday.
Lord,
right?
honey, I used to keep.
You lived this, right?
I did. I'd keep high heels and a professional clothes dress in my car because I would come rolling in from 4 a.m. for coyote hunting on George Strait's farm. And going to work in my cubicle, not going on any sleep. Yeah, when you're in your 20s, you can do stuff like that, and it doesn't catch up with me now in my early 30s. It's Lord Jesus. Anyway, but yeah, then this life ain't for everybody. But be a good hang, and bring it as far as talent goes. And be a good hang. That's what they taught me in school.
You sure you ain't got a question for Miss Hannah Dasher before we leave?
I'm sure.
Positive? Mm-hmm. All right.
Tater's gonna be teaching us all one day.
She's a big fan. She's got it too.
I'm a Tater fan.
Everybody's a Tater fan.
And Chad fan. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jack Daniels, Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Always enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. Check out the new Bonded, the new Triple Mash, the new 10, the new 12, as well as Old Number 7, the Gentleman Jack, the Single Barrel, all of the flavors, the Tennessee Fire, Tennessee Honey, and Tennessee Apple. Again, always enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. Hannah Dasher, get to a show. Get her new music coming out soon. It's going to be called The Other Damn Half. The Other Damn Half. She's the one and only Fender girl, Hannah Dasher. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to another episode of This Life Ain't for Everybody, presented again by the one and only Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey, Jack Daniels, Lynchburg, Tennessee. I love that place. I absolutely love Lynchburg. What song do we go out with? You don't have to play it. We can do a recorded one unless you want to go out with a live one. We're going out with a Hannah song.
Oh,
do you want me to go out with another artist?
Do a chorus of if it's gonna be another artist, I'd do Hank. But how about a chorus of "You're Gonna Love Me" kind of a thing?
Yep. Here's
H to the damn to the D.
This is H to the damn to the D with Hannah Dasher and Tater. Tater, you gonna sing on this one?
Sure.
You gotta get a little closer to the mic. Thank you all for being here. This Life Ain't for Everybody.
Y'all gonna play it, right?
No, this is it. Jam it.
All righty, Tater, sing it. 2, 3. I'm a bad man, gentle, fresh out of Savannah. My people call me Hannah. H to the damn to the D. No, it ain't for everybody, but I don't try to be. If you like the sound of that,
You're gonna love.
Well, That's right, girl. Oh, you're going to love Tater, too. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Hannah.